DB12 it's an excellent genius design. So it's a phase 4 study. So it's post-marketing basically. They're including patients with 2+ lines of therapy, HER2 positive, but they're including with and without brain mets. The interesting part is that they're including patients with untreated brain mets and patients with stable brain mets. So very similar to catanib, HER2 climb studies population, which is really interesting because from clinical practice, and we learned that really from clinical practice and from small studies like the TOXIDO study, that trastuzumab deruxtecan can have a very decent activity intracranially. And I can tell you from anecdotal clinical experience and from other case reports that are published, it's been working really well with patients with either intracranial disease or leptomeningeal disease, a very hard to treat subtype of breast cancer when it gets to that. And it's shown amazing activity. And it's really nice to have evidence on study that this is true. So having a post-marketing phase 4 study, taking those all-comers patient and looking at those special population with brain mets will add immense value because at least you'll have evidence base to the practice that's already being done.
Yeah, so DB12 I think is actually a surprisingly important study. We don't think about phase 4 trials that way very often, but it broadens our ability to practice in a very ingenious way. And you know, just to highlight this point, I think we think about the brain-blood barrier as being very, very difficult for big monoclonal antibodies. T-DXd is a monoclonal antibody at its core, right? But as an ADC, you know, I think what we're actually learning, and we're learning this, is there's a blood-brain met barrier that is not the same as a blood-brain barrier. And so these drugs might have an actual opportunity to get in and deal with people whose burden is in their brain.
Yes, 100%, 100%, which is very important because eventually, if you look at the history of or the trajectory that a patient with HER2 positive metastatic breast cancer will get, 50% of them at some point will suffer from brain mets. So it's really important to get those drugs that can permeate the blood-brain barrier. But you're right, it seems to be more leaky, this blood-brain barrier around tumor sites.
Right, right. I'll give you the last chance. Anything else you want to throw out there that you're really looking forward to or enthusiastic about?
I mean, honestly, it's been an amazing time as a medical oncologist that treats breast cancer to be practicing in this day and age, especially with those wave of antibody-drug conjugate. They really revolutionized the field. I remember when I was in residency, even as a medical student, we kept saying we need this silver bullet that you can hit the cancer and spare the body, right? And the ADCs is the closest we've gotten to this, where we're trying to hit the cancer and try, quote unquote, spare the healthy cells. I mean, even with, like, for me, the story of trastuzumab deruxtecan is fascinating. Deruxtecan, if people remember, was a failed chemotherapy. It's too toxic. Nobody could use it. Nobody could tolerate it. Putting it on an antibody that's been used for 2 decades revolutionized the field. And that tells you innovation, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just mix stuff together and they can work. And that's why, like, the future for me, it's very exciting because of this waves of drug that's currently coming in. And I'm very excited for my patients, very excited for all patients suffering with metastatic breast cancer, because the future looks very, very bright.